Hi, everyone. This is Anurag, your instructor for CE-222. And here I want to talk a little bit about the lab assignment on air traffic control. As you may have noticed in this class, we've been focusing a lot on the surface transportation, which is obviously a big place where our students go to work and, for Caltrans, for private sector consultants and so forth. But we must not forget that transportation is broader than just the surface transportation. There is obviously adjacent to the surface is the rail transportation, but then there is air transportation as well as marine transportation as well. Um, One thing, and those are pretty critical as well. But here in this lab, I'm going to have a fun game to play with for this lab. You're going to have a fun game to play with for this lab, which is kind of thinking about the air traffic control. And you might have seen near the airports, in all airports, there is a big tower where you have the staff that is essentially handling the aircrafts as they're coming in and going out. Uh, and you could and as an ATC, as an air traffic controller, your job is to make sure that you provide the right commands to those pilots who are trying to land in your airport or going to trying to take off from your airport. So here is the link to lab description. And then you will see that the ATC is a major element of the transportation system, even in the context of airport planning and design, which is the big subject of CE-525 course, if you're ever interested in that. By the way, that class is taught by Mr. David Hutton. And David Hutton, it's great to take this class from him because he's a pilot himself. So he owns owns a plane, and he flies that plane everywhere. And he has a lot of flight experience, and he's a lot of experience landing into the airport. So it's just a great thing to have him as an instructor, and we include an field trip to the airport, to the ATC tower, and it's just all pretty interesting stuff. If you're interested in that kind of stuff, I will strongly recommend taking CE-525 class that we offer, and you can take as an undergraduate student, as a senior undergraduate student, you can choose that class as one of your technical electives. So this week's lab is essentially a computer game that is designed to give you an idea about the tasks an ATC, an air traffic controller, needs to handle. The game is available on this URL right here. So if you click on this link, it takes you here. It's a browser-based game. And then you could pick your airport. There is Dubai, there's Kobe Airport, there's London Heathrow, all of these airports simulated. We'll just kind of focus Chicago O'Hare being the default. We'll just and if you want to kind of get more airport, you can log into the program. But for this lab assignment, you don't ever have to do that. And there are some sort of assignments. And exactly, you're adhering to the objectives and the safety standards of the game that is outlined here. And you could have sort of difficulty. Winds will not change. What level of difficulty you want. I think you can just play in easy mode. I'm not asking you to, unless you get excited about it. Your job is to play it in an easy mode and just give these commands to the aircrafts that are trying to come in as you sort of take charge of the game, as you start the game. The flights that arrive are more involved since they require altitude, speed, and direction based on how good you are in documenting the difficulties of your sector. You might want to familiarize yourself with the control sector and practice. And practice is what makes a good controller, right? I mean, it's the whole thing about learn by doing. So the more you do it, and then these are the kind of simulation-based training that we provide to the ATCs anyway. So this is pretty realistic stuff. I mean, it's not exactly what we train the ATCs on, obviously. That's much more involved, but sort of the general framework of the training is pretty similar. There are some instructors to the game that I provide here, and then how you can give the commands and so forth. And then there is a tutorial on here as well. So if you scroll down, there is a sim video tutorial that I want you to watch. And then I've also posted a video by Dr. Molan here, which talks about how to exactly do these steps. It's a 12-minute video that if you watch it, you will be able to sort of get a feel for what you need to be doing in this game. And what you need to do ultimately is that if you come down here after you've read the instructions and then again, the reading the instructions won't be very helpful. The learn by doing principles here are very much in play. So what you might want to do is just play the game and try to see what happens. So a bit of a trial and error. So I think spend maybe half an hour, 30 minutes with it. It's pretty fun game to play as well. So if you come down all the way here, all I'm looking for, so there are some notes about, like, if you're using a certain browser with a certain operating system, you might think that the game is a little bit sluggish. But if you're using Chrome browser on the latest Windows or Mac PC, you should probably be okay. Your deliverable is pretty simple. You just need to land at least 4 aircrafts into Chicago airport and submit a screenshot of your stats. So once you're done with the game, it shows you your stats. I don't think the login will be required for that, or you need not create any login. You should be able to get the screenshot without your stats, without having to actually log in or anything like that. In this case, you could see that there are six landings and 7 handoffs. Handoffs is basically when an aircraft sort of goes out of the range. So these are the aircrafts that must have taken off of your airport, and then a couple of improper exits, and there's no missed approaches and so forth. Total violation time, 45 seconds. What does that mean? That for 45 seconds, 2 aircrafts were sort of violating the thresholds that I provided to you. Remember the thresholds that laterally, they should be at least 3 miles away, and vertically, they should be 1,000 feet away. So in these example stats, you can see that there were aircrafts in violations of these rules for 45 seconds and so forth. So I would strongly encourage to just play around with it. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. And I cannot recommend the CE-525 class more strongly. I would say that if you're interested in aircrafts and airports and so forth, this might be a fun class to take, even if you're sort of not in the transportation area. This is a pretty interesting class, and when it's taught by Mr. David Hutton, who's a pilot himself, makes for a great class. So thank you so much for your attention, and I'll post this video also on our Canvas page. Thank you.